Aye, Spooky Banks, baby. Today, we're going to be talking about the truth about rent to rent. You know, whether you should get into it, the pros, the cons, and everything about it that's not told to you on YouTube or by these fake gurus. Now, my name is Spooky Banks. I'm a 9-year-old entrepreneur that likes to talk about making money online, entrepreneurship, and personal finance. I go to university and I run a company called Poku State, where I've had 1 year's worth of experience of running the rent-to-rent model. I'll explain to you the pros, the cons, and the benefits. And I'll explain to you what I think about it. Now, for the people that don't know, let me explain the rent-to-rent business model. Essentially, you are renting something from one market, you're taking it and then putting it on another market and renting it out to someone else. Since these are two different markets, you can charge different prices. So you get it for one price and then sell it for more on this market. An example is the car rental industry. You know, you can finance a car for £250 a month, and then you can take that car and then rent it out for £25 per day. You only need to rent it out for 10 days in a month to break even. Anything else other than 10 days is your profit. And this is similar to the service accommodation model. So you can rent it from landlord for £1,000 a month, and then you can rent it out for £120 a night. You only need around 8 or 9 days to break even. The rest is your profit. Now, believe it or not, this business model has been around for a while. It's just within these recent times, it's now been pushed and advertised in a different way to get more people onto it. And guess who this benefits? The people that sell courses on rent to rent, the people that do mentorships on rent to rent, they push us out and advertise it as something different to get more people into this business model. Now, you may be watching this YouTube video thinking, you know what, should I get into rent to rent? You know, I've been seeing this around on the internet and it seems very, very profitable, but is it really what it is? Let me explain to you the benefits and the negatives. Benefit number 1, you can experience a similar cash flow to someone that actually owns a property. Don't get me wrong, you can make thousands per month off a property that you don't own, similar to someone that actually owns a property. The only difference is that they're paying a mortgage and then you're paying rent. It depends on what area you're in, but the difference between mortgage and rent is no more than around £500. A landlord could be paying £800 in a mortgage, and a renter could be paying £1,100 in their rent. Although there's a £300 difference, you guys can still make the same amount of money if you do the same method, regardless. The second benefit of rent to rent is that there's a lower barrier to entry, and then the first reason is because of the cost. Now, getting into rent to rent, I would say you need around 5 to 10 grand to get into rent to rent. That's what I would say. 5 to 10 grand. Some places 5, some places 10, maybe even a little bit cheaper. But compared to getting a property now, buying a property, you need to pay for your deposit, you'll pay for all your taxes, you'll pay your mortgage broker fees. There's so many fees that you gotta pay to get a property that the cost of entry is so high that not everyone can do it. There's reasons why there's so many government schemes and to get people onto the property ladder, because it's very hard. It's not easy in today's day and age. Whereas rent to rent, for me, for example, it only cost me around 5 grand to get started. And I was making similar profits to someone that actually owns a property. But I didn't even own a property. You get what I'm saying? So that means anyone watching this, like you, all you need to do is work a little bit, save some money up, and then put that into your business. The third benefit of rent to rent is simply that it gives you a chance to get well connected within the property game. Now, what I mean by this is that simply, I've now got into the rent to rent game for around 5 grand. I'm not being cocky, but I've gained so much experience of property that, when I do want to start owning properties and buying properties, I will now have a head start because I know so much. Rent to rent and actually buying properties like buy to lets, the skills are transferable. I've managed a service accommodation by myself at the age of 19. These skills that I learned in rent to rent, I can then apply them and transfer them to when I want to buy properties in the future. Not only that, but I've also made some connections within the property game. So I know interior designers, I know contractors, I know accountants, I know property solicitors. All of these can be used for buying properties as well. Just because I'm doing rent to rent and it's not really getting on the property ladder, you're just, running the business, you still make connections with people that are on the property ladder. You meet landlords, you meet all sorts of people, you meet lots of property developers, you meet all these sorts of people within these group chats and networking events. But when I do want to get onto the property ladder, it'll be very easy compared to someone that knows nothing about property. Now let's move on to the negatives of rent to rent, maybe why you should not get into it. Negative reason number 1, you're simply just getting cash flow. You're not really building any equity and you're not really building any wealth for the future. Rent to rent is simply a profit game. You rent this for that much and you rent it out for more, you make your profit every month. You don't really build any equity, you don't really get any exponential growth, you don't get capital appreciation when it comes to rent to rent. You're literally just getting profit. You're just getting cash, that's it. Now, this is the biggest difference between someone that owns a property and there's someone that's just doing rent to rent. Yes, with rent to rent, you're making similar cash flow to the property owner. If a property owner was to do the same thing as you make similar cash flow. He'll make a little bit more just because his mortgage is cheaper. But what he's also gaining is equity. As time goes on, he's building equity in his house. His house is appreciating in value. House prices tend to double every 7 to 10 years. While he's getting his cash flow, he's also getting capital appreciation. So he's winning in 2 games. You're only getting cash flow and you're getting less cash flow than a property owner. Now, the second negative of rent to rent, Maybe this is just me, but I'll be real. Getting a rent to rent is a lot harder than getting a property, in my opinion. Okay? Obviously, you can make a lot of money from a property that you don't own. That means you need to take advantage of another landlord to get a property. Do you really think all these landlords are just saying yes, yes, yes? I went for around 60 no's. Yeah, 60 no's until I got my first property. Getting your first rent to rent is not easy. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, once you got quite a few rent to rents, they'll come flying in. It'll be a lot easier once you know the right landlords that'll do it. But getting your first rent to rent, it's not easy. With buying a property, as long as you have the money, you can just buy it and do whatever you want with it, really. Just need to make sure that the seller accepts your offer. That's literally it. Whereas the rent to rent, you got to do a lot of persuasion, a lot of explanation of the business model, because not many people know about this business model. When you tell landlords, they don't even know what you're talking about. But yeah, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, but I personally feel like getting your first rent to rent is a lot harder than, just buying a property. Now, the third thing tip of doing rent to rent is actually one of the benefits of doing rent to rent. And this is the lower barrier to entry. Now, on the flip side, essentially, since there's lower barrier to entry, like anyone can get into it, it's not that hard, you only need $5,000. This means there's more competition. That means more people can enter the game. This means it will get saturated. Now, if there's more competition within the area, then, it may make it harder to get rent to rents. Why? Because someone else has already been there. Someone's already spoken to that landlord. Now, you guys will take this however you want, the more competition argument, whether that will ruin the rent to rent market or it won't affect you. Because, for example, some people may have better businesses. They may have more connects, better networks. So that means they can acquire rent to rents with ease. Whereas, just because more people are entering, that doesn't really affect them. For example, let's say you control 20 properties that are rent to rents. You are more of a whale in the game. If a little fish enters a pond, a fish is someone that is brand new to rent to rent. Would that really affect you? You just eat him up because he's not competition to you really, because you already got your network, you already know what you're doing. So it depends how you want to see it. Whereas if you are a little fish and all the other little fish are trying to enter the game, that means there'll be more competition. Everyone's chasing the same goal. Everyone's chasing these little rent to rents. This is where it may become a problem. So it's up to you to decide. Now let me give you my final words. You may be thinking, should I go for rent to rent or should I go for actually owning properties? It depends on your goals really, because just because you start rent to rent first doesn't mean you can't get on the property ladder, because you can. You just need to make some profit in rent to rent, use that profits to then go buy houses. For example, I know a guy called Dami Property Lifestyle. Check him out, he's already been on the channel. He did a day in life, go check that video out. It'll be here or here, I don't know. But what he did is that he started his rent to rent business. He made a lot of profit within rent to rent, and then with the profit he made, he now uses that to go buy properties. So he's used rent to rent as a vehicle to get into the property ladder. That's how he's done it. Because the person feels that if he just saved up money just to start doing the property ladder, it would have been a lot slower for him. Whereas other people that I've spoken to, Luigi for example, he did a day in life, go check that out. He says that he did rent to rent, but he stopped it because it wasn't much profit for him. He preferred to just own a property and do other things with property. So for example, property development or whatnot, all of these things can be done by owning property. So that's why he stopped that. So it depends on your reasoning, it depends on your goals, it depends on how much time you have, it depends how much money you have. There's so many factors. But I will not deny, rent to rent has a lot of transferable skills that you can use for the property ladder. Like there's so many things I've learned, but I have a head start against people that didn't do anything. For the people that just want to be first time buyers, I know more about property than them. So when I do want to get on the property ladder, it'll be very easy because the stuff I learned there, I can just transfer it over. I already know quite a few things about property, so that's a good thing. At the end of the day, it is up to you to make a decision. I hope this video gave you a lot of points to make you think properly about it. Now for me, for example, the reason I got into rent to rent is because, the money, I'll be real, I did not have enough money to put it down on a 50 grand deposit. I live near London. Houses aren't cheap here. Average house prices are 200, 300,000 pounds plus. So, a deposit, a 10% deposit, we're talking 30 grand more. So getting onto property ladder that way, at the age of 18, 19, it wasn't looking likely. Yes, it's possible, but it wasn't looking likely. And I really want to get into properties. Rent to rent definitely was a good option for me to get on. It was cheaper, 5 grand compared to 30 grand. It was very cheaper, and I also made connections within the game. So when I do start and get onto the property ladder, which I do plan on doing very, very soon, watch out for that. It will definitely help me tremendously. So again, it's all down to you. Make your decision. I hope you like this video. Comment, like, and subscribe if you want more. Check out all my day in the lives. If you've done rent to rent or if you're on the property ladder, comment down your experiences below to help other people. If I missed anything, comment it down below. I hope you guys like that. It's Pokey Banks, baby.